from leaving UCO 1900. Crisis 2020 was the mother of it all. Nobody knew, we did not expect it. And even when we had it, we just thought, China, we'll just watch the news, CNN and everything, that it hit home. And there was a crisis globally. And so many things happened to different people. And the results were different for different people. And talking to us about all of this, how to grow during a crisis, how to emerge stronger after going through a crisis, is June Chepkemei and Winnie Tanui. Karibuni sana.
Asante.
Yeah, looks so good. Asante. After you're taking my shoes. But it's fine, it's fine. Karibuni sana. Maybe you can introduce yourself to the people, and we'll start with you, June. And this is your camera.
A very good morning. My name is June Chepkemei. I am a marketing and communications practitioner professionally. Beyond that, I run a fashion house, and I tell the stories of entrepreneurs.
Beautiful. Winnie.
Thank you very much for having me here. My name is Winnie Tanui. I am a life coach and an author. That's what I do for a living. I help people, empower people to live life meaningfully and boldly.
And that is what we're here for today.
Yeah.
And we're talking about crisis. Is it even possible? You know, when it started and we were told we have to be home, and then we were given curfews, and we didn't think for like anything. And I'm using 2020 because it's something that probably we've all experienced in our different ways. And we experienced new things, that we were exposed to new things, strange things that we did not know about, and it affected us differently. Was there a possibility to even grow during that crisis?
And you're looking at both of us, so
yes,
you have to go first. Yeah,
June can start.
all right. A lot of it. All of us panicked in
Yes,
your
we did.
different ways.
Yeah.
I can, if you don't mind, I can tell my story of how I panicked and how I came out of that.
Okay.
Mine was different. I had just traveled in January to the US, came back and went to Europe in February, landed and traveled to the village to visit my parents, a few people. And as I was coming back to Nairobi, I had the news that we needed to close. So, of course, it was extremely scary because I didn't know whether I was infected and now had spread to the village.
Yes.
And when I came back to Nairobi, I locked myself in for about 2 weeks. I couldn't leave. You know, you're trying to even think through the guilt that will come with you having traveled to the village and infected your folks. And my parents are old, and my mom is diabetic, my dad has a condition. So for me, first it was a panic.
Yeah.
Then it then occurred to me that we have to live either way. And to live, you have to have a positive spirit.
Yeah.
And therefore, what can I do? What's my role? So I took a back and looked at myself, my strength, and how I can leverage my strength to bring positive change and to ensure that I'm a winner in a crisis.
Wow.
So to answer your question, yes, it's possible.
My goodness, that's beautiful. Did you experience the same?
Yes, for me, I remember when it happened. I was in my son's school event on Friday, and the news broke out that there was a case in Kenya. You can imagine you are in an event in school, and on Monday, nobody went back to school. I think the people even who left a sweater or a student who left a pencil in school, he didn't go back to pick. I mean, life just changed immediately.
Yes.
And there was a lot of panic. I remember for me at that point, I was almost transitioning into business. I just wanted to open an office, my coaching office. So suddenly it's like, I don't know what to do. So actually it sends people to a panic, but it's accepted to panic at the beginning, but don't stay there. Crises happen. In the beginning, you're allowed to panic, to feel the emotions, the sadness, the unbelief, the denial. But after that, you have now to sit back and think, how do I move forward? Because we have to move forward.
That is so true.
Yeah.
And it's important that we note that panic is allowed.
It is allowed.
It's okay. It's the first reaction.
Yeah.
And we shut ourselves in. Some businesses were closed, and we were told to be with our children, that they're not going to school anymore. And now we don't know what to do with them there. And we saw the frustration that even came with that, because you are a parent. Nobody taught you to be a teacher. And now you're expected to be somebody that you are not. So after panic, what am I supposed to do next?
So to pick from where Winnie left,
Yes.
is that the beginning of taking advantage of a crisis is, first of all, to accept the crisis.
That we're here.
That we are
It
here.
is happening to me.
Yes. But then what next?
Yeah.
Now that is now the beginning of soul searching and looking at those opportunities that they exist within that whole. I'd like to again quote the Bible on how to handle that. A Bible is a very good storybook. And we can draw a lot of life lessons, whether you believe in the gospel or not.
Yes.
When Isaac and Abednego were in an enclosed space, they could not move. They were stuck in that hole. Like all of us were stuck in that hole of COVID-19. They just didn't sit. They did something. At least they praised and they prayed.
Yeah.
So at that point, you ask yourself, what is it that I can do within this space? At least we were open to the world online, and we could read and see things happening. And that is now the beginning of you identifying your strengths, what you're passionate about, and then taking action.
So think through, accept what is going on, and look at what it is that you are good at. It could be baking or praising.
Or praising.
And praying. You just do it at that point where you're at.
Yeah.
So what happens next? So you've already identified, you've panicked, you've identified that yes, we are happening, it is happening to me and to everybody around me. So we cannot ignore that. We are in a crisis. And I have looked at my strengths. It takes another bolt of courage for you to step out in the middle of a crisis to be like, so yeah, guys, I've been a teacher all my life, but I realized I can play the guitar. How do you then get the strength to do that? Because we can imagine, probably you know you're a good baker, but then taking a step and doing something about it could not be as easy as we say it.
Yeah, and I think the other thing now, when you think of a crisis, because now there's the other beauty of the crisis is that it forces you to look at the important, what is the important thing now, because it cuts out the unnecessary things, the non-essentials. Actually, that's what it does, because for the first time, you're not going to work, maybe, as you know it, waking up in the morning, going to work, hitting traffic, coming home at 6 p.m. with traffic and arriving home maybe at 8 p.m. You've never had time with your children. So at that point, you need to look at your life wholesome, because sometimes with the rush of working and earning a living, you forget the other aspects of your life, because life is more than just working. There's the parenting or the relationship bit of your life. There's the recreation part of your life. There's the health. That was our time to also focus on your health. So look at now life in a wholesome way, not just in one way, so that when you look at it wholesomely, you'll be able to see areas that you need to work on, that actually there's some areas you'd left because you're running, that maybe it's time to look back and say, what do I do about my children? What do we do with my children now that we have time? What have been longing to do all this time but didn't have time that we can do? So look at life wholesome, then identify areas that you'd left behind, then now work on them at that point of a crisis.
That's so true. Do you have something to add on to that? I see you scribbling away.
As she was talking, those ideas kept cropping, and I think what she's referring to is really action.
Yeah.
And how does that action look like?
Okay.
At what is the first step of action? And it draws me back to after the World War II. In the late 1940s, when Winston Churchill had to now bring the world together. What the World War II did was to divide nations and it created boundaries, and it's considered one of the greatest crises now, and now COVID-19 could be related to that. What he did, he had to figure out how to bring the world together. And that is the beginning of United Nations. Now, once you are in a crisis, who is your United Nation?
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. Those are now the social capital that you have. The people you need to talk to and run your idea through them. They become your sounding board. You say, oh, I think I've always wanted to bake. Maybe it's time to bake. How do I bake? Do you think it's even a good idea? Who is that person? Who is that chef who probably has now, we had hotels closed? Consult them. I think, can you help me? Can we bake? Can we do it? We can't meet, but can we do it via Zoom? What will I need to do to bake? How do I turn my baking into an enterprise that can bring revenue? Okay, people are stuck in their homes. Then how do I even get whatever I'm baking to the people? Consult your United Nations. Mobilize the resources within you, within your reach, both physical and non-physical. Physical in the sense that you might need to possibly get certain things done. Non-physical is that the idea now needs to be validated. You need to speak to those who will help you now bring your dream to life. And I also wrote and I said, all of us have some experts that we know in whatever it is that we are passionate about. That's the time to now talk to them.
Out to them.
Personally, after I had panicked, I remember the first thing that was being highlighted or aired on TV was that Kenyans now need to come together again, and there was a pay bill number to donate. I said I would not donate money. I want to donate a skill.
Okay.
So what skill do I have? One of the skills that I was aware of is that I can tell stories. I was scared of news because the entire headline from CNN to Al Jazeera to Switch TV, everyone was saying, I was waiting for headlines of 1,000 jobs lost.
No.
You know, the economy plumps. You know, the shilling loses its strength. We are now the dollar. So those are you remember the depression, the Great Depression.
The Great Depression, yes.
And those were the stories I was scared of. The recession stories, and I said, but amid these recession stories, they are good stories. But because I don't have a TV channel or a radio station, and even if I had editors have their own approach to headlines anyway, then I would be in the space that I have control of the content and the headline that I think. So I said, I'll tell the stories of those who are thriving during crisis. And that is when I opened June Chepkemei Special, a YouTube channel, and I started targeting those businesses that were leveraging crisis to make money.
Okay.
But then telling the stories is one thing. You need a channel, you need a platform. So I consulted my United Nations. I got someone with a camera, another one with editing capabilities, and said, let's tell the stories. So at that point, you need to ask yourself, what some of the media colleagues actually lost jobs.
Yes, they did.
And that's the point to ask yourself, what were you doing in that media house?
Yeah.
Why can't you do it outside that media house? In what other format? What is it that you can do? Leverage your social capital, build your United Nations, and get it out. Take action.
And that is so true, because so many of those things happen. I mean, we were introduced to Zoom. There were meetings, there were classes online. Some businesses were forced to get into the digital space, and now we didn't have to leave the houses, and things were coming to us. So there's so many things that we had to unlearn. And it's so true what you were saying. You were saying earlier on, Winnie, that you notice that I don't need all of this. Kumbe naweza kaa wikendi tano bila kuenda out of town. I can do without a branch here and there.
Even
bila kuenda salon.
Actually,
How did we make our own hairs in the houses?
we did it.
We did it.
We did it.
Some of the businesses, and you mentioned this, some of the businesses that came up after, Corona happened and we're in a crisis, and let's pick a random one. Say, for example, do you remember how expensive the masks were? And the sanitizers, and there were people who were in that business big time, selling at ridiculous prices. And some of these businesses that emerged that particular point, what are the things to look at? Will they hold out to the end in terms of longevity of the business keeping going on? Because the masks went down. Na ulianzisha biashara yako. So there's also a chance, yes, you saw an opportunity, and then you started it, and now they're going at what, 2 bob, 5 bob?
Before I allow Winnie to take that, let me say this, it might encourage someone. Remember, I had focused on what I'm good at, telling the stories.
Yes.
So I told the stories. I think when I was in episode 12, I came across the apparel and clothing and textile sector. And in the midst of that, I saw an opportunity. So companies were closing down.
Yes.
Boutiques were closing. Businesses were closing. When you go to EPZ, they could not export. Remember, mostly EPZ exports. And that's where we get our foreign, stabilize our currency. And in that, I saw an opportunity to open a fashion house. Opposite of anything that everyone would have thought of. And I actually found an opportunity to do masks in masses. I did over 500,000 pieces.
Wow.
Yes. Then I realized that you first of all, I discovered a gap in terms of skills. We keep saying that there are no jobs in this country, but there are jobs. We just don't have skills and the initiative.
Okay.
The right skill for the right job. So it was difficult to get people who could even stitch 100 masks in a day. I remember driving from every single corner of this, from Gikomba to Jogoo Road to Kenyatta Market. You meet someone. Remember, it's a crisis. People are closed, and you ask them, fundi, unaweza nishonea masks ngapi kwa siku? Anakuambia, madam, nakutolea 100 kwa wiki. I'm like, I need 10,000 pieces daily.
Daily. And you know, we're going to take a short commercial break right at that point. When we come back, Winnie and June will still be in the building. If you have any questions for them, 111 444 111. Usibanduke. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Full Circle with Mwikali. A very good morning to you. We're talking about growing during a crisis. Now, so many things can happen to different people. There are those who emerge stronger. There are those who just lose it, can be said, nothing is working. There are people who are able to weather the storm and be like, you know what, I will take advantage of the situation we're in. And we've talked about the different steps that probably happen when we're in a crisis. You panic and you're confused and you don't know what to do. And then you need to accept that you're actually in it, that it's happening to me, and look at the strengths that you have within you. Now, talking about emerging and discovering new talents, hidden talents, and even noticing gaps that you're able to fill in. Juno's just telling us how she was not able to get anybody to do masks at the rate at which that you wanted them done. Did you eventually get the job done?
The job was done.
Okay. How many fundis did you have to use though? Kama walikuwa nakwambia wanataka 100 masks a whole week.
It was difficult. I had to get to a hub that could give me at least 100 fundis at a go. But you also have to supervise them. You have to push them. So again, and I think that's a story you can have another day.
Okay.
But just to sum up that part, as a law, we need to take it up is that you as you go into that space, that you've taken that action, make sure that you are clear. You clear of the space you are in, build your subject matter expertise, and after you've done that, get a team around you to help you execute the vision
that you have.
Yes.
But you have to see it.
You have to see it and believe it and to live it.
Yeah, that's true. Talking about like scaling up and, you know, making sure that you are standing out and you're doing better, you know, like what June did. I didn't know that you got, anyway, moving on from that. But how do you make sure that you start something and see it to the end and make sure that it is sustainable even after the crisis is over?
Okay. Maybe I can jump in and say, as June said, you see, in the crisis, if you look at her journey, and it's the journey of almost everybody who's emerged successfully in a crisis, you need to stay curious. I think the word that was the driving force in June's journey and any other journey. And there's a story of this lady called J.K. Rowling, the writer of Harry Potter. She was rated as one of the richest authors.
Yes.
Of course, I have interest being an author. But how she started it is that she started it at a point when she was in a crisis. She had divorced. She was actually literally almost homeless. That's when she went back to say, what could I do? Then she remembered one day that she wanted to write a book. And she just said, now that I have nothing else to do, let me just start writing. I can say it's almost my story. For me, I also have a long story. To the story where I started writing, I was looking for something. And I was in a personal crisis, not necessarily from the corona, but in a personal crisis. And I said, now what can I do with myself? And I figured out I also wanted to write. And I just started writing. I didn't know what I wanted to write, but the idea that I started writing, later on, I said, let me just write a children's book. Then the following day, I said, no, I don't like writing children's book. Maybe I should just write about personal development. And when I started writing, the pen went on. So curiosity is the word there. What is this thing that you wanted to do? So in a crisis, look at the basic. What is it that you can do? Can you be a trainer? Can you knit? And maybe that is what is the beauty of a crisis. It puts you in a position where you have to be curious and look at yourself and say, what can I do? And then once you get an idea, don't overthink it, start doing it.
Okay.
With time, it will, the idea will come out. It might not be the ultimate idea, but as you move with curiosity, it opens new doors, and you don't know what is on the rise. And there's always a hope, and God always has a good plan. But sometimes when we are too comfortable, when we are running in the rat race of our everyday living, we miss those moments. And sometimes crises come just to wake us up, to just tell you, okay, go back to the basic.
Yeah.
And so you need to be curious. So curiosity, I think, is the word there. Just be open and learn every day, and the doors, it's like a journey. Every day you go and you realize there's something you can do, there's something you can do. And as June said, social capital, many people will say, what can I do? I don't have money. And many people will ask them, what can you do? They say, I would have begged, but I don't have money. I would have started out helping people with exercise in the estate, but you see, I have no money. Most of the time, the problem is not money, it's your social. And God has already provided. The people around you, your uncle, your aunt could have a pan she does not use that you might need to bake. Your sister could have an oven that she's not using that you could use to bake. So look at the social capital. The things you want actually are around you. So don't say, I have nothing. You have people and you have things around you.
We
if you
focus
just
on the wrong things.
Yes,
we
but
just focus on the monetary bit of it instead of looking at it. I'm sure June will probably give me something, Winnie will give me something else, and that is all that I need. And even sometimes it's not even the actual physical thing, it's just a word of encouragement, or just somebody telling you that, you know, you can actually do this.
You can do this.
You've got this.
And you have them. So you always have to know. That is always say in as a coaches, we like positive attitude, but because positive attitude makes your head open up, because now you're looking for possibilities, and when you look for possibilities, they are there. Because we live in a universe of abundance. You see the way air is supplied, and you see sometimes when we are in a crisis, we forget even the basic. Because I think the crisis, especially the corona, took us to the basic of what is the important thing. It's life.
That's true.
And do you know, we don't know where life comes from, and we don't know how it's sustained. And the moment we go back to there and say, wow, okay, who gives us life? The person who gives us life, and we don't even know how to create life, must have other better plans. So the idea that we have life, we have the provision, we just need to look. So don't give up.
That's really powerful. We just focus on, we don't take time to say Asante. I am alive, I am breathing, and I can do something better about this situation tomorrow.
And there's always a way out. For sure there is. You just need to be committed to finding.
That's true. I like it. I like it. June, so are we still making clothes?
No, Fashion House was born.
Fashion House was born.
Yes. So and again, I'll just try to summarize it. Well, at that, it then occurred to me that the reason this country has been struggling with the Mitumba menace is that there's just no one who is committed to just getting us the right fabric that we need, the right apparel that we need. Nobody is able to. We have not built consumerism for things made by Kenyans for Kenya. The market is there, and therefore I managed to mobilize a team. We sat and we thought through this. We opened an online fashion store, but with the focus of made in Kenya by Kenya for Kenyans, and we continued, and that's how we ended up launching a fashion house on the 19th of December. So we hosted a golf tournament in Eldoret. We got over 100 golfers. We dressed them. We launched the fashion house in Eldoret, Eka Hotel, in partnership with Rivertext Africa. But again, I was curious of the fact that, conscious of the fact that I am just dreaming. My job is just to dream. Someone has to bring the dream to life. So I set up the team, and I pulled myself to allow them to run. So again, you don't want to keep in this country. The reason why businesses are not growing from startups to SMEs to multinationals that can transform this economy is we are suffering from what you call founders fatigue.
Founders fatigue.
Yeah, that's a story of another day.
Okay.
But to ensure that you are not interfering with the vision, you know, the thing is, you've got to let what you love, you got to let it fly.
Okay.
You don't have to hold it to yourself.
Yes.
Many of us, especially creatives and innovators, we are unable to move our innovations because the moment you crack an idea, you want to say, if I share, so someone else would pick and run with it. If you believe in it, then you should let someone else to bring it to life. And so if you look at great businesses like Tesco, the way Tesco and the European retail trade is. Tesco was suffering. It was almost closing. But in the words of the former CEO of Tesco, there are certain things that you do. They were in a crisis.
Yes.
They were in a crisis at Tesco. They were closing, but they had to take a step further. And to pick from Winnie, the greatest motivation is when there's scarcity.
Yes.
So crisis is that time when you're actually lacking. So opportunities are in scarcity, and they are in a crisis. And stop procrastinating. There's a book, Eat That Frog, by Brian Tracy. Eat it. It's ugly, yes, but eat it. Eat that.
Fast.
Go ahead, do it. Stop procrastinating. Stop thinking that there's a better way to get it done.
Yeah.
Just wake up and get it done.
Goodness.
Yes.
Eat it. And that's the thing. I think we want to be clean. We want to not get down and dirty most of the times. So what we do is be like, maybe if next year it will be a bit cleaner, maybe I'll get into it. Or maybe I don't have the right outfits to just get into it right now. So we're always giving ourselves reasons, excuses is the word. We're always giving ourselves excuses as not, why not to get started today? Why not to jump on that idea today?
Yeah.
And we keep these ideas to ourselves. When we see someone else running with it, you're like, that would have been me.
I thought about it.
And then again, ideas actually, you know, at the end of the day, we are in a universe. We are all a united, huge family.
Okay.
So if an idea comes to you, because it's not only, ideas should not only benefit you. Remember, even business is about offering value to somebody. That means there's a gap. Like, for example, June realized there's a gap for a need for a Kenyan clothes dressed by Kenyans. It's a need we all know. If June sees it and she doesn't do it, the idea has to go to somebody, because it's in the universe interest that we get value for this society. So ideas are just yours. So they have shelf life. If you keep it, it will run, because it has to serve the purpose. Remember, it's about solving a problem. Business is actually solving a problem. So people have problems, they need to be solved. You see a solution, you decide, I'm not ready, or I'll do it next year. The idea moves from you to the next person.
To another person.
Yeah, because these are solutions that has to be brought to the people. So that is how you need to look at. Business is about offering value and solving people's problems. So you cannot shelve them and lock them. They will run away to the next person who is ready to run with it.
That is so true. I like that we all mentioned, it came from both of you, that you have to be open to whatever ideas that come to your mind. It might not be the thing that you went to school for. It might not be the thing that you've grown up knowing. And you did not know that you're going to end up in the fashion industry. All you wanted was to tell a story about people who are making it during the crisis. And that definitely did the other thing that you talked about, Winnie. It opened up another window, another branch, and you landed somewhere that you never knew that you would have.
I didn't even know that I'm fashion curious. Yeah, and I remember when we were doing a photo shoot and we needed to dress up in African. I discovered that actually 80% of my wardrobe was African. So it is always innate.
Yeah.
We just need a crisis to trigger it.
To be curious.
Yes.
As we said, whatever you need, you have it.
You have it.
It's only that you need to bring it out.
And we need to be told these things over and over again, just in case we're so bombarded by life and we forget that you have everything that you need within you.
You do. That's why Jesus was saying when he was saying, don't fear. The Father feeds the birds.
Yes.
Don't worry that even the lily cannot be, they say, the flower. Your clothes, so your heavenly Father clothes you.
Yes.
I think that's where you need to start, believing that it's possible, believing that I have it. Then now you can now be able to see opportunity, because especially in this country, I think we live in a country where opportunities abound. Because the minute that there are so many problems, every problem is a seed, that because it's something that needs to be solved. So every problem in this country should be turned, it's a business opportunity. So that means because we have so many problems, there are so many business opportunities. I mean, you can't finish. You just need to identify one. And run with it.
Run with it.
Be committed to it. And as you go along, and you don't need to know the whole plan. It's like you're here you're in Nairobi, you want to go to Eldoret.
Yeah.
You don't know what will happen in Nakuru, but you're focused, you're going to Eldoret. So so long as you're focused, this is where I'm going. You'll figure out as you go along.
Now that we are holding people accountable, and you started a book, you're writing a book.
Yes.
Is it out already? Is it published?
Yes,
Can we get it? Where can we get it?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have a book. There's a book I wrote a while ago. It's called Dare Be You. Anyway, it was almost a personal jumpstarting myself. I'm saying how to jumpstart yourself.
Okay.
Maybe it's relevant for this season.
Yes.
But now, yeah, you can get the book. I'll share my social media.
You can.
Yeah. You can follow me at Winnie Tanui, coach/writer Winnie Tanui on FB.
Okay.
If you drop me a message there, I'll send you how you get the book. Yeah, we deliver the books to where you are.
Okay.
But I'm keeping on writing. There's a book I want to launch very soon.
What is that about?
It's about uncaging yourself, because I realize the problem we have is not a problem out there. The problem we have is your problems. If you can be able to just look at yourself, and the limitations are within yourself. So it's about looking at yourself and looking at your limitations, and realizing that if you are able to uncage yourself from your two limitations,
yes,
it's a cage you've put yourself. Nobody
Yes.
put you in a cage.
And it's imaginary.
Yes.
You're just like, I'm not going to move. It's
Yes,
just here.
it is here.
It's in my
Self-doubt,
head.
fear,
Yes,
all those things.
sabotage.
They are things you create.
So you are your own enemy.
Yes, you are
That's
your
so
enemy
true.
number one.
That's so
you are
true.
actually your own jailer. But the worst thing is you have the keys in your hands, but every day you're just staying locked in a cage and looking outside and
But
wondering.
we're hoping for Winnie to
Someone
come
else.
open the cage for
who
me.
can? But now you have the keys.
Yeah.
Open it.
Open the cage.
Open the cage, and that's what we're saying. Just open it, move out.
Move out. June, we've come to the end of this conversation. Maybe
Yeah.
your last words and social media handles, and even let's give us the fashion house. We'd like to just get into there. Since we're in the made for Kenya, for Kenyans, by Kenyans.
Mukali, you realize you've asked me 4 questions, so which one do you want me to answer?
Zote. Uko na 1 minute.
Okay, in 1 minute. If you cannot say it in 90 seconds, for how many seconds? Okay, fine. So my final word, really, I'd like to speak to the young people of this country. Their jobs, all over. You have that job that you want.
Yeah.
You just need to turn that idea into an opportunity. Open yourself, and from the words that Winnie has said, and cage yourself, and stop this it's called what? Minimalist mentality. If you think minimal of yourself, you'll remain there. Position yourself and allow yourself to dream big. And she wrote there, dare to dream. Just dare, dream, and it will be done. And stop looking for solutions from somewhere else. Stop blaming the government, stop blaming your parents, stop blaming everybody.
Yeah.
Just wake up and get it done.
Absolutely.
Yes. So
social media.
I'm June Chepkemei on Facebook, June Chepkemei on Twitter, June Chepkemei on Instagram, and June Chepkemei special on YouTube. The fashion house is Lelesta, Lelesta Fashion House.
See, you answered all of them. Thank you so much for coming through. It's a powerful Monday morning conversation. Totally loved it. I hope you guys loved it too. We're taking a very short commercial break. When we come back, we're talking about that image. So now you have dreamt, you have seen, you're out of a crisis, you're doing something extra. Do you look the part? We'll be right back.